In the void of Ea, where nothing yet had form, only the thought of Iluvatar pervaded like stardust. Then his thought took the form of musical notes, and the great music of the Aenir began. That music was the hymn of creation. Every chord wove the contours of mountains, and every melody traced the course of rivers. The Vala and the Mayor, these holy ones, wove their own thoughts into the music, making it ever more magnificent and grand. Yet among all the Aenir, Melkor, the most powerful, had a heart that burned with an unquenchable fire and an insatiable vanity. His music was filled with jarring notes of discord, the clash of steel, the roaring of fire, and endless darkness and bitter cold. His notes sought to overwhelm the main theme, twisting the joy of creation into a lust for dominion. When the great music ended, Iluvatar showed them a vision born of the music. A new world hanging in the void, filled with glory and hope. The Vala gazed upon this realm named Arda, their hearts filled with love and longing, and they begged Iluvatar to make the vision real. And so Iluvatar said, Be. He sent the imperishable flame into the void, and thus he came into being. Many of the Vala and Mayor descended into Ea, binding themselves to this new realm of time and space, vowing to make the vision of the music a reality. But they soon discovered that Melkor had arrived before them. He claimed Arda as his own kingdom and sought to twist all things to his will. Thus the youth of the world began in chaos and strife. The years 1 to 1500 of the Years of the Lamps were a long and arduous history of shaping. The Vala toiled like great artisans in a formless chaos. All, the smith, hammered the rocks, raising the first mountains. Ulmo, Lord of Waters, guided the newborn streams, carving valleys between the peaks. And Manwë, king of the skies, gathered the winds and clouds to bring the first gentle rains to the land. Yet for every work they completed, the shadow of Melkor followed. All's newly raised mountains were leveled by his immense power. Ulmo's freshly cleared rivers were frozen with bitter cold or boiled away with scorching flame. Manwë's pure air was tainted with poisonous fumes and miasmas. It was a tug of war between creation and destruction. The Vala built and Melkor marred. His laughter, filled with contempt and mockery for the labor of others, echoed across the empty lands. The first great war thus began, not a clash of swords but a contest of will and primal power. The earth shook and fire and water battled upon the nascent continent. The very form of the world was repeatedly altered in their strife, groaning in agony. Though the Vala fought together, they could never wholly subdue Melkor, for his power stemmed from the primeval chaos and was nearly equal to all of theirs combined. This ceaseless war lasted for nearly 1500 years. The Vala grew weary, their joy in creation worn thin by endless destruction. Just as they were about to lose hope in the 1500th year of the Years of the Lamps, a mighty laughter rang out from the borders of Ea. It was the voice of Tulkas the Valiant, who had heard of the strife in Arda and came from the far reaches of time and space to aid them. His body shone like gold, his fists held boundless strength, and his arrival was like a bolt of lightning tearing through the gloom. Tulkas knew no weariness. To him battle was a joyous game. He charged at Melkor, his golden hair flying in the wind, his war cry making the earth tremble. Melkor had never faced such pure and mighty strength. His dark stratagems were useless before the unyielding fists of Tulkas. After a world-shaking duel, Melkor felt fear for the first time. He was defeated amidst the thunderous laughter of Tulkas and fled in shame, withdrawing his power like a shadow into the outermost darkness and void of Ea, temporarily abandoning his claim on Arda. With Melkor's retreat, Arda at last enjoyed a long-awaited peace. In the year 1900 of the Years of the Lamps, the Vala gathered to bring everlasting light to the wounded world. All with his divine craft forged two mighty pillars, one in the north of the continent, named Iluin, and one in the south, named Ormul. Varda, queen of the Vala, queen of the stars, filled two great lamps with pure light and set them atop the pillars. When the lamps were lit, all of Arda was bathed in light. The lamp of Iluin gave forth a silver light, cool and pale like the moon in a cloudless sky. The lamp of Ormul shed a golden warmth, like a sun that never set. In the mingling of these two lights, all things awoke and life flourished at a speed never seen before. This was the spring of Arda, an age of perfection, harmony, and vibrant life. The Vala made their home on an island in the center of the continent, called Almarin, from where they could look out upon the whole world blessed by the light. The Spring of Arda lasted for 1500 years. During this long age, Yavanna's creative power reached its zenith. She sowed countless wondrous flowers, herbs, and towering trees, and great herds of beasts roamed the endless plains. The Vala often held feasts on the Isle of Almarin, enjoying the peace and beauty their hard labor had earned. In the year 3400, a great feast was held on Almarin to celebrate the wedding of Tulkas the Valiant and Nessa the Dancer. All the Vala were immersed in joy, and their vigilance was at its lowest. However, they did not perceive that a gaze of the deepest malice was watching them from the darkness beyond the world. Melkor's envy and hatred had never faded. Rather, they had been nourished and grown vast in this fertile land of light. He secretly returned to Arda, and in the far north, in the darkest corners deep within the earth, he began to delve and build his vast and terrible fortress, Utumno. From this evil lair, he released poisons and malevolent thoughts, which crept like an unseen plague to gnaw at the roots of the Spring of Arda. Yavanna's beautiful creatures began to grow twisted and savage. Clear streams became foul, and decay and withering appeared in the lush forests. The heart of Arda began to fall sick. The Vala finally noticed this spreading evil, but it was too late. In the year 3450, as the Vala were taking counsel on how to find the source of the evil, Melkor launched his long-plotted attack. He gathered all the powers of darkness and destruction and, from the depths of Utumno, violently assaulted the foundations of the two great lamps. Iluin and Ormol, pillars more immense than any mountain, cracked and broke in the tremendous upheaval. The lamps that held the light of the world fell from the sky, and in the moment they shattered, it was as if the heavens themselves had collapsed. The silver and golden light was no longer a blessing but a torrent of destruction. Liquid fire swept across the land, consuming the myriad creations of Yavanna. The cataclysmic impact of the falling pillars tore the once whole continent asunder, forming two great inland seas, the Sea of Helkar in the north and the Sea of Ringil in the south. The world's symmetry and harmony were utterly shattered, and the lands became broken and marred. The Isle of Almarin, situated in the center of the continent, was completely destroyed in this cataclysm. The first home of the Vala, along with the memory of the Spring of Arda, sank beneath the churning waves. Darkness once again fell upon the world, and only the faint, distant starlight shone upon the ravaged land. The Spring of Arda had come to an end. In the brief 50 years from 3450 to 3500, the hearts of the Vala were filled with endless grief. They stood upon the ruined world, mourning the light and life that were lost. They understood that as long as Melkor was entrenched in Middle-earth, any new creation would be in vain. They made a sorrowful decision, to abandon the vast continent of Middle-earth and retreat to Aman, in the uttermost west of the world. There they would build a kingdom that could never fall, to withstand Melkor's corruption. All and the mayor under his command, with their supreme power, raised the Pelori Mountains on the eastern coast of Aman. They were the highest and most perilous mountains in the world, a seemingly impassable barrier separating Valinor, the realm of the Vala, from the outer world. In this sheltered land, Yavanna, with sorrow for the bygone spring and hope for the future, sang her deepest and most mournful song upon the hill of Azelahar. From her song, and watered by the tears of Nienna, the goddess of mourning, two saplings broke through the earth. One was named Telperion, which bore silver flowers and shed a soft radiance like moonlight. The other was Laurelin, which had leaves of gold and cast a warm glow like the rising sun. The light of the two trees replaced that of the fallen lamps, becoming the eternal light source of Valinor. But this light could no longer illuminate all of Arda. An age had ended and a new one, isolated and filled with a sense of tragic destiny, had begun.